Well, hello world. I haven't done a vinyl transfer from my RP8 this year, as I've explained to you before. I've got problems with where I've got my system rack at the moment because my speaker cable's too short. I'll try and sort that out in January. So what I've done at the end of this year instead is to talk you through some of my best vinyl finds of 2015. Now, actually, none of these albums were actually released in 2015. Some of them might have been reissued in 2015, but they're just ones that I've thought, oh yeah, these are good albums. Okay, some are quite recent, maybe 2014, 2013 perhaps. Some are ancient and pre-ancient. Okay, so we're going to start off with one of my ancient finds. It's a brand new copy, actually, bought with one of my Christmas vouchers. This is Bob Dylan Highway 61 Revisited. I don't really think I need to make any judgments on this album in terms of its musical quality. It's a really excellent album. It's in the short time that I've had it, which has been 2 days, I've played it 4 or 5 times, and it is absolutely brilliant. It is undoubtedly now my favourite Bob Dylan album. Okay, it was the first one where he went all out electric, which must have irked quite a lot of Bob Dylan fans from the 60s. But I really don't see why, because even then they were used to electric albums from other stars and things, and I bet you the people that threw things at him and booed him on stage and stuff owned quite a lot of electric, as it were, music in their collections that they probably raved over. So it was all a bit hypocritical, really. But they're a super album. Even the cover, absolutely superb. Okay, this is actually a mono copy. The quality of it is good. Okay, no crackles or anything like that. Just a well put together album. Okay, and even though it doesn't have anything in the way of lyrics or anything like that, and it's in a sleeve, it does have an anti-static inner sleeve as well. Okay, which keeps the dust off it, which might keep it away from my moth record cleaner, because at the moment this actually doesn't need it. It's a great quality pressing as well. Okay, it is mono, as I think I probably just said. Other reissues I've got of Bob's have been in stereo. Bob's, we're on first name terms, he and I. Have been in stereo, so I don't know whether or not this is a reissue, because I think the last time I bought a brand new Bob Dylan album was in the early noughties, so maybe since then they've reissued them in mono. Okay, I don't really know why, to be honest, because I'm sure it would have had a very good stereo mix. I've got a Blonde on Blonde original. It's probably not original, but it's from the 70s, I think. But Blonde on Blonde, which was his 1966 album, i.e. the one after this, has a lovely stereo mix. And so, yeah, I don't quite know why, but there we go. Right. Let's put those on that side. Okay, coming sort of relatively up to the minute. George Ezra, Wanted on Voyage. This is fantastic, this album is. I really hadn't reckoned on it being as good as it is, but it is really good. It's, in a way, it's a bit bizarre, because the musical styles are really all over the place. There are some where you would think, yeah, that's quite modern and 2014, 2015-ish. Others where you'd think, oh gosh, that sounds like it was made by Van Morrison or something like, or someone like that, So yeah, it's an eclectic, I think that's the word I'm after. An eclecticness. It's a really good album, and he's very talented, and I suggest anybody buy that album. In terms of the quality, it's a single album. What have we got on here? 12 tracks. Okay, it's a single album. The pressing is very good. Okay, it will have to go near my moth. at some point. I haven't been able to get to my moth for a little while because my Christmas tree's been up, but that has come down now, seeing as Christmas is over, thank God. But yeah, it's in a cardboard sleeve, so it'll have to have a clean and then go into an anti-static sleeve. Okay, I do wish they wouldn't do that. Okay, but it's a really good good pressing, nearly silent. Okay, so well done, whoever pressed and mastered that one. Okay, all right, this one here, going back to ancient. Okay, this is Led Zeppelin Deluxe 2 LP set. Don't be deceived, it's not the original album released on a double, which would have been very good. It's actually, I haven't played all of it, I've just played the original part of it. One album is the original Led Zeppelin, the other one is loads of outtakes and stuff like that. Okay, I'm not really into Led Zeppelin as a group, but I do like this album. Okay, this is the one that's got the old Top of the Pops theme on it. That one, okay. And yeah, it's weird, but it's very good. And the drums on it, I like, I'll just shut Siri up. The drums on it are just out of this world, okay? I think I've probably told this story many times. It's in Perfect Sound Forever, okay? If anyone wants to actually read that book. Apparently John Bonham threatened to throw his drumsticks at anyone that got too close with their microphones. And the drums were recorded at the bottom of the stairs, with a microphone hanging from the ceiling in this great big sort of palatial residence where they went to record this album. Okay, so it really, they've managed to get a really, really, really huge drum sound with no or very little compression. Okay, and it sounds brilliant for that. Okay, that's probably the reason why I'm including it in my best finds of 2015, because anyone who's into Zeppelin who hasn't got a record player, go and get one, a decent record player, not a Crosley or whatever it is. I saw some girls in HMB that must have bought a Crosley, and they were out buying all the new vinyl. I'm thinking, oh, I do hope you didn't buy a Crosley. I do hope you didn't buy a Crosley, because it's not going to show you anything that that vinyl can do. If you've got a decent vinyl setup, or you want a decent vinyl setup and you're into your Zeppelin, buy this album. It will stun you and amaze you. Boom. Another bang up to the minute one, Jake Bugg. Okay, well, I don't know whether this album is bang up to the minute. I think this is 2013 or 2012, something like that. First album, I think. He has done one since. Okay, this album, again, it's another one that sounds like it was recorded in the 1950s. It sounds a bit Buddy Holly stroke Elvis Presley stroke, again, Van Morrison-esque. Okay, again, full of absolutely catchy tunes. Okay, the lyrical issues on this are kind of up to the minute, just a very, very pleasant album to listen to. And it's got its sort of darker side in the lyrics, all sorts of stabbings and popping pills and stuff like that, which kind of sounds more like the 2015s. I don't think they would have sung about that in the 50s and 60s. I think that would have been off limits, as it were. But yeah, it sounds like a 50s and 60s album. Okay. In terms of the pressing, again, it's very good. It's a single album. Oh, it's got 14 tracks on it, but these tracks are very short. Okay. Bear that in mind for what I'm about to say a bit later on. Okay. But yeah, a brilliant pressing, very good. Okay. And the album is just called Jake Bugg, by the way. Next album. Okay. Next three albums are my Rod Stewarts that I've bought. Okay. Not all of them, just some. Okay. This one is Atlantic Crossing. This is an original 1975, so this was a second-hand purchase on eBay. Okay. I'm highlighting it because A, it's a good album. It's not as good as his stuff that he did with the Faces. This was the first album that was released after he split from the Faces. Okay, it's got Sailing on it, and his cover version of I Don't Want to Talk About It on there. Okay, but even so, it's still a good album. I mention it because when I bought it from eBay, the person that I bought it from, and it would be nice if I could have actually remembered the seller's name, but the people that I bought it from actually cleaned it and put it into an anti-static sleeve. Okay, because this is actually quite a good kind of issue of it. Okay, being as how it's an original issue from 1975. Yes, there are cracks on it and popples on there, and some quite annoying ones, but by and large it's actually well kept and plays very well. Okay, you can see that here was the original inner sleeve, and they've put it into an anti-static and cleaned it. Okay, so that was well done to that eBay seller there. Okay, and this is a good album nonetheless. Not as good, I have to say, as some of his Faces stuff, but there you go. Yeah, okay, a couple of brand new Rod Stewarts that I've bought. I've shown these, both of them, on eBay before. Not on eBay, I've shown these on YouTube before. Okay, so my followers should be familiar with the fact that I've purchased them. Buy these yourselves, people, they're great. Okay, this one, it has to be said, wasn't clean when I bought it. Okay, I bought it from Audio T in Southampton. They did do a sort of basic clean with a thingy, a brush, but I have cleaned it on my moth since then. Okay, and yeah, this album, it's called Never a Dull Moment. Okay, has my favourite Rod Stewart track on it, which is You Wear It Well, and absolutely fantastic album. Really, really good quality pressing as well. Okay, it's one of those that you will dance to. Okay, you'll put it on and you will dance to it. Okay, so that's that one, Never a Dull Moment, and this is the greatest hits, or the best of Rod Stewart, which I've shown as well before on eBay. Okay, this one didn't require a clean, although I did clean it because it was sent in the inner sleeves were 2 paper sleeves. Okay, so I've replaced them for anti-static ones. Okay, you know, they're plain paper. Okay, which is still abrasive, and so I cleaned it and put it inside these. Okay, this has, I'm grateful that this is a double album. Okay, because it's got at least 20 tracks on it. I'm about to count them. Bear with me. 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 tracks on it. Okay, so thankfully it's been put on a double album. The reason why I say that is because the more music you try and cram onto one side of vinyl, the smaller the grooves have to be. Okay, in order to maintain a decent sort of quality of sort of reproduction, you will then have to do a fair bit of mastering, jiggery pokery and compression in order to fit it all onto one side. Okay, this is why I said that I was grateful that the Jake Bugg album, although it had 14 tracks on it, did at least that they were at least short ones, because the grooves can stay relatively large. Okay, and therefore you've not got such a problem at least transcribing the bass grooves. It's the bass grooves that are the difficulty, because, as I've said loads and loads of times, bass sound waves are bigger. Therefore, when they sort of make the grooves on the record, the grooves are also going to be bigger. Okay, and this has natural power and pop without being overly compressed to go on here, which means you can actually turn it up and enjoy it. Okay, it's a great album for, you know, someone asked me on my last video, in the comments, you know, do you have to make vinyl louder? Okay, you shouldn't have to, except where they've overly tried to crush music onto the size of records. Okay, the usual culprits, if you're in the second-hand market, is looking for things like the 20 best hits of, or similar kind of things. Okay, especially as the vinyl on those things, they tended to be budget issues, and so the vinyl was thinner. Okay, this is nice chunky vinyl and over a double. Okay, which I think it was originally anyway, but I don't think that the vinyl was quite as good quality when it was originally released in the 70s. This is Queen, A Night at the Opera. This is my favourite of all the Queens I've bought so far. Okay, I've put on YouTube some demos this year of other albums by Queen that I've bought. Okay, these are all the new 2015 reissues. Okay, so I've got News of the World, I've got this one, Opera, I've got Races, I've got The Works as well. This one has to be said, over and above all of the others, this is my absolute favourite of the Queen albums that I've got. Okay, I'm not going to go too far into collecting them. There are a couple of albums from the 70s that I'd like. Sheer Heart Attack, for example, I'd quite like. Yeah, I have to be said, I'm not really impressed with Races. Certainly not as much as this album. Okay, this album is conceptual enough. Races reminded me of the worst excesses of 10cc, which you know, 10cc at their best were quite good. 10cc at their most sort of conceptual, as it were dreadful. Okay, and quite racist as well. It has to be said. There's one of their songs that's really racist, which I'm not really happy about. Sorry, that's going off the point a little bit. Queen can sometimes get a bit 10cc-ish, and they had done by 1976. Okay, yeah, there are some good tracks on Races, but you know, if you're thinking, oh, which of the two should I get this one? Okay, despite the fact that it's got Bohemian Rhapsody on it, Bohemian Rhapsody isn't my favourite track on it. My favourite track is actually the introduction, Death on Two Legs. Is my absolute favourite on here. Okay, but I like the Prophet song as well. Okay, and I like Love of My Life. And Joe McElderry, oh God bless Joe McElderry, he actually did a cover version of Love of My Life, which I've got on one of his CDs somewhere, which is it's actually quite a good cover as well. Okay, right. Stop Wittering on Piercy. Here we go. This is Ed Sheeran's X album. Okay. I didn't think I would like this as much as I liked the first album, but I do like it. Okay. There's some really nice sort of catchy sort of singly things on here. Sing is very good. Nina's very good. Runaway, I think it's that one, is very good. Okay. But it's absolutely great album. Absolutely great. You know, really, yeah. The three sort of, I suppose, male modern singers that I'm liking now at the moment are Jake Bugg, George Ezra, and Ed Sheeran, and yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, and look at that lovely gatefold in a sleeve. It's fantastic. You see, you just don't get that when you get a download. I'm sorry, but you know, it might, you know, a 27-inch iMac Retina 5K does look fantastic, it has to be said, but it just doesn't beat something like that. It's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Okay, this is a double album. Okay, it contains on it, what are we looking at? 12 tracks. 12 tracks. Relatively lengthy, okay, but it's spread over a double album, which means, as I've explained already, okay, they can spend, each track can take as much room as it needs because you've only got 3 aside. Okay. Not only that, it's playing at 45 RPM. I think the 45 RPM decision was just so that you got you didn't actually waste vinyl. Okay. If they put 3 tracks and played it at 33 RPM and put 3 tracks aside, then you'd have had a lot of wasted vinyl on each side. Okay. The other album, which I didn't buy in 2015, so it's not here, which is Paolo Nutini's Caustic Love album, basically is a double, so it's a good pressing, but they did it at 33 and they were left with a blank side at the end of side 4, which is a bit of a waste of vinyl. So I think, you know, depending on the length of your tracks would depend on, you know, whether or not it's a 33 or a 45, but the fact that it's on a double and there are only 3 tracks per side means that you have got room enough to master that record so that you can get you know, a nice powerful sound on there that is relatively uncompressed and sounds jolly good. Okay, and this album, you know, it's done it perfectly. Okay, so, you know, out of my pressings, okay, I would say that the Jake, the Ed, i.e. this one, and the George, sort of, you know, among the best. Okay. Finally, probably another one of my absolute favourites of this year, even though it's not a 2015 album, but, you know, again, this is a brilliant album. I love it. In the Lonely Hour by Sam Smith. Okay, it has been played, okay, quite a lot. Okay, I have cleaned it. However, this is probably, you know, one of the kind of, you know, where they could have made and taken a bit more care with the pressing. Okay, 14 tracks. Okay, only 2 of them. No, there are a couple that are less than 3 minutes, but, you know, regardless of that, okay, it's just been crammed onto a single album. Okay, the single album, and I've owned this since new. Okay, the single album was crackly right from the start. Okay, now, although by and large the actual musical signal is sorry, I've got an itchy nose. The musical signal is loud. It's still masking a crackle underneath it. Okay, at times that crackle is intrusive. Okay, there's a track on side 2 which is called Latch. Okay, where it really does just get on your nerves, to be honest. Okay, this one could have done with being released on a double. Okay, probably a double 45 like Ed's. Know him. We're like that. But yeah, a brilliant album. Okay, it's just a shame that the pressing lets it down slightly. Okay, but yeah, absolutely superb. Okay, so there we go. That is some of my favourite vinyl from the last year that I've picked up. Okay, it's not, as you know, it's not 2015 vinyl. Most of it isn't anyway, but it is at least, you know, current in terms of being my favourites. Okay, and it's great music. Okay, so if you're wondering what to buy with any of your HMV or Amazon vouchers, then you could do no worse than pick up some of those albums. Okay, have a very happy 2016. It's 2 days away. Okay, I decided to do this today because tomorrow is going to be rather full of celebrations. Okay, having my nice New Year traditional lunch with my friends and going out in the evening, and I am looking forward to it. Okay, so yeah, have a lovely 2016, whatever happens to you. Okay, and it couldn't be worse than 2015. Put it that way. Okay, see you later. Bye now.